I am live. Hello, everyone. We have some things to discuss, ladies. Fellas, you guys need to listen because this is very important to what you're looking for and what you think you're looking for. So I need all of my guests to, I'm going to post the stream here, and you can come in and talk to me worldwide on BBSG. Hello, what Facebook user? Hey, Oshan. Hey, I just posted the link. I hope you guys can see it. Click on it to join in on the screen. I would love to have you as we discuss the difference between Lilith and Eve. Very interesting conversation. It's crazy that her name does not come up a lot in the scriptures. Actually, she comes up once in the scriptures as a night owl. They call her a night owl in the scriptures. And I'll give you, we'll get into where she came from and how she is important to the story. Okay, I'll share the link again. I thought I just put it up there. It should be at the top, but I'm going to post it again. Okay, do you see it? Matter of fact, let's do this. Let me put it in the banner. Okay, and let's go back here, and I'll put it. This is her Bible study, my baby. Okay, I don't know who that is, Facebook user that just said that, but thank you for calling me your baby. I just posted it on the screen. You can see StreamYard. Click on that. It's in the group. It's in the comments. So hopefully you can see it in BBSG, or go to my page where it should be open on the page as well, on my personal live space timeline. But yes, Lilith, I want to discuss who this woman is, who her energy is. And you're going to be amazed at how important it is to know who this woman is as opposed to who Eve was. Some scholars believe that she existed before Eve. Some scholars believe that she was Adam's first wife, who was not happy about being dominated by Adam. So she decides that she's going, because she was created equally with Adam, because Eve was taken from Adam's rib, but Lilith was born in the soil just like Adam was. And this is the Hebrew name for Lilith is storm goddess, female demon, which is what she was turned into because of her not wanting to obey and be dominated by Adam. So this discussion is very important because Lilith is, I guarantee you know who Lilith is. You may be Lilith. You may have the Eve gene, but you also may have Lilith's energy as well. So the reason why this is important to know is because sometimes when men are looking for an Eve, because this is what we were taught to look for, or, Eve was the ideal woman. She was the woman that we were supposed to, emulate, and I think that sometimes, today men are looking for Eve in a Lilith. And it's important to know whether you have a Lilith on your hands or you have an Eve, because she cannot be, well, I believe she could be, two of the same. I think that's a healthy balance for her. But as we get into who she was, what happened with her, and what her energy is, you may, decide for yourself, no, she's just a woman that I would not want to deal with. But Eve has several, Lilith has several names. In Arabic, her name means night monster, because that's what she was turned into as a result of her disobedience to Adam, her refusal to lay beneath him. She didn't like that. She felt like I'm born equal. We were both born at the same time. Created at the same time. So why do I have to lay underneath him during sex? And she wanted to dominate him and be on top. And Adam was not feeling that. So she left the garden, and she went out, and God sent angels to get her. And she refused to come back to Adam because Adam wanted to be superior to her and made her feel inferior. So Lilith did not like that feeling. Lilith didn't like being dominated. She didn't like bowing down to Adam. She felt like, if we were both created equally, then why should I bow down to you? So another name for Lilith is inner bitch. Catch that. Inner bitch. That's crazy. I don't know why this is not coming up. I'm going to post this link again, and maybe you guys can see it. If you give me a minute, I will try to send this to a few of you so that you can click on it in the messenger. So I'll be right back. Pause.
I went to the campus, through some old files, and found out that Severin's dad, my dad, and Chief both all in the same house with my dad. And we died. Now, isn't that weird that no one told me that? Twice. Both times he just smiles. Nods all serious. Says your dad was a hero. Dad was a hero. Pats my shoulder and walks away. Just,
I am trying to put this on a few people's screens, some of my regulars, so that they can help me with this subject. So give me a moment, everyone, so that I can. So I'm back. You guys, I sent it to your messenger. If you could still see this, it's in your messenger. So look in your messenger, click the link, and come on and let's talk about Lilith versus Eve. Again, I believe that her importance in this conversation needs to be had more than one time, and it needs to be upfront sometime, because I think that I was listening to Kevin Samuels the other night when he was talking to a young lady. It's called When Doves Cry. My brother sent it to me. And very interesting conversation. But I couldn't help but listen to a woman who sounded like Lilith. She may have started off being an Eve, and a lot of us start off being just like Eve, trying to be humble, trying to, you know, being okay with letting a man lead and dominate and do all of these things. And after, trauma, drama, and heartache and heartbreak, you become Lilith. Um, so I think that her, refusal of Adam and not wanting to be inferior to him caused God to curse her because she refused to come back to Adam. And it's said that later on, even after he was with Eve, that Adam actually went back to Lilith and had children by Lilith who were demon children. But her curse was that God was going to curse every child of hers because of her refusal to be Adam's, you know, um, subservient wife. Um, Now, which is crazy because if God created them both equally, why would God then listen to Adam? Well, maybe because he was a man, he had a man spirit. Why would he listen to Adam over Lilith in this conversation that or this agreement that they were having? Why was Adam more important than Eve was? Because Adam, he may carry the sperm, but without Eve or without Lilith, the womb can't bring a child into the world, can't multiply, you can't do anything. So it begs to ask the question, why did God decide that Adam's wants and needs was more important than Eve's was? And it's just baffling to me, and the fact that they left her out of the scriptures and only mentioned her as a hag or a night owl or someone that's, just demonic and evil, is crazy to me. So listening to this story, and I've been, literally digging into this story and listening to all versions of it, the Arabic, the Hebrew, and the Jewish version of who Lilith was. It all seems that all of them felt like she was evil, and that because she would not bow down to Adam. I don't know if that's evil, but maybe she was a little arrogant, but I don't think she should have been cursed because she didn't want to bow down to a man who, first of all, she didn't know him. They were both created at the same time. So, you know, I'm just speaking in terms of today. But I have two guests on, Miss Andrea and Miss Ocean, and we're talking about Lilith and versus Eve, the Eve gene in women and the Lilith gene in women. Because if the if she was if she existed, then that makes sense to why there's so many dominating women today in every facet of life, down to the lesbian, down to the Amazon, down to the, you know, um, the career woman, the woman that, it makes sense. Some women just are not good at being dominated, and they don't like that feeling. Especially when they feel like, well, I go to work, I go and do everything that a man does. May not get paid the same way, but I do everything that a man does as far as living my life. And the only thing that's different is I don't have a penis and he doesn't have a vagina. So again, let me mention some of the names, you guys, of you ladies, of what Lilith's name has meant in different religions. And get this, have you ever heard of the word Kundalini?
Yes.
No, hi, good evening.
Kundalini means corporeal energy, and it's called the snake. It wraps around the spine of a woman,
Mm,
and it's electrical current running along the spine. So
you know what I
Lilith
like?
is also described as the Kundalini spirit. So you know the snake, in medicine, how they
Yeah,
have the snake there.
yeah.
Um, they're saying, what I was reading and the stuff that I was understanding is that her energy is more of
I would
a
like to say
sexual power
something.
to dominate. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Once we once we know about our spirituality, hold on one second.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you, Tosh?
How are you, sweetie? I'm fine. I'm
That's
fine.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Trying to get into this, because I think that this conversation is very important to what men think that they're looking for or that they're looking at in women.
Um, I'm gonna say this, and then I have to go. Once we learn about our spirituality, part of it, and the connection of it, Kemet and everything else,
Hmm.
Oya, Oya as above, and Oshan as below. Those are two sisters, and they're in reference to what you speak of.
Yeah.
Okay, an essential part of her that's Kanya, as you speak of, that is
Hmm.
our sensuality of our nervous system on our
That's what it said.
spine. And
I read that. Yeah.
okay, so you have to know where it's connected to spiritually in our
Hmm.
thoughts and thinking, in our ways of our sensuality, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
a lot of people get it confused as the serpent being evil, but the serpent is not at all.
Hmm.
And the only way it's considered to be evil because it's a woman, you see.
Right. Yeah.
And
Even Eve was considered as evil after she disobeyed Adam. She was considered as the downfall of mankind. And I noticed that Eve was always, the topic. If it wasn't for Eve, we would not be in this mess. I hear that all the time, or
yeah, you
used
know
to hear it all
why?
the
I came up with something that we actually researched. One
time.
thing they came at the same time,
Hmm.
and one
Hmm.
thing that people really don't talk about is incest because they have to come from somewhere, correct?
Right, right.
And so they wasn't to touch each other because they were siblings for real.
Okay,
And most don't want to know that. This is why the temptation came upon man, and women are known as sin.
okay.
That's just one outlook of it spiritually. Seriously.
Hmm.
And we have to, when you putting everything together biblically, because it's just a story with truth, lies, and stories.
Right.
And we as
Yeah.
women, in the spirit, if you know your alignment with your moon and stars, here we go again on the sensuality of our spirit and sexuality as a woman. What you're speaking of is truth and fact, but that's
Mhm.
I think is more in layman's terms so people can understand it. So
Right.
once you get to speaking spiritually, it loses well, at least me. I get to speaking spiritually, and I try to connect with people in the sense of biblical to make it
Okay.
make sense.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because it's there. All what you
Yeah.
say is truth, but yet it's twisted because you have to remember the man wrote the book and not a woman.
Yeah, it was baffling to me that they left her story out, but in the book of
Oh,
Enoch.
it's not left out. It's just misinformed. It's not left out. It's just mentioned and then it's left alone. And then you hear nothing only about men. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
about the
Well,
men.
you hear more about Eve than you do Lilith. Lilith is only brought up as,
Are
lurking
you
and
still there?
dealing, dealing in the night. Yes, I'm here. Are you talking to me? Okay. Yeah, and Eve is all is mentioned all throughout the Bible, but Lilith is only mentioned one time and in a bad light. But the more I read about her, the reason why she turned to a demon was because of her disobedience to Adam, her
Hmm.
refusal not to obey him and be dominated by him. She didn't like that. So she fled, and they talk about her being her not wanting to be subservient to Adam. So I thought that was interesting that, her punishment was, to be a demon forever and to wander, and I think in the story it says that um she was the serpent that convinced Eve to eat the apple. Not
Hmm.
sure how true that is, but when
I
she
think I read that
was,
she was Satan's wife too, like Satan's first
mm-hmm,
um, human wife.
right,
She wound up becoming Satan's human wife after being, delegated to hell.
yeah,
Who else are you gonna get with except for Satan or the other demon?
right. She got to team up with somebody,
You don't have any other choice really.
right.
But it wasn't a lot of information. I did note that it was probably more in the Hebrew scripture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more information was there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I didn't see a lot of information. But I guess
Mm-hmm.
one of my issues in general with
Mm-hmm.
like the Bible, for example, is even Mary Magdalene's story had been, she kind of like disappeared. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? In
it's
other
been
words,
tempered with.
yeah, there were women throughout, obviously, whose stories had meaning, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, it's very male oriented, very male dominated,
Yeah.
and so that's obviously the patriarchal influence, and
Mm-hmm.
so it always made me think to myself, there's stuff that's missing
Yeah.
because stories. Some are allegorical. In other words, they don't mean exactly what they say.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of uh, like synonyms, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, that's not
Yeah.
similes, like similes and things
Yeah.
like that. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
meaning the actual wording that it says. So I know
Right.
some of the stories are allegorical, but also I think cultural influence, the patriarchal cultural influence is what has dominated pretty much all of the holy books, quote
Yeah.
unquote. And so, but it's very interesting that because she did not opt to be subservient to Adam,
Mm-hmm.
and she was born like he was born, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
They were
created
born.
like he was
They were.
created.
They were created out of
They
the
were
source
created
of
at the same
God.
time. Wow,
Mm-hmm. You know.
interesting.
So I'm like, okay, well, was that her instructions? Because
Right, exactly.
why would she be cursed if that was her instruction? I can understand if that was her instruction, she went against it.
And she went against it. Right.
But if she was created as an equal to Adam and God had no problem with that until she wanted to not lay under Adam during sex. Wow.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I heard she was a beast. I mean,
Yeah.
not physically. I'm not talking
Hmm.
about physically, but I mean in bed, like she was, like the first succubus kind of,
Yeah. Yep. That's what they
being.
call them. Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. So she was slaying them. She was
Hmm.
slaying them in the bed.
Right.
But yeah, that is interesting. I have to say.
Hmm.
Um, and I wonder, was it more than just the sexual? I would imagine so. I would imagine it was
Yeah.
more than just the sexual
Yeah.
refusal to be
Because,
dominated.
right. Because even with her, the meaning behind her name, um, as I went on into a lot of different conversations about her, she wanted Eve to know who she was. She
Hmm.
wanted Eve to understand that she had a choice in the two trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, or the two
Yeah.
different, in the garden. And when
Right.
she, according to what I read, is that she came back to convince, to let Eve know that you don't have to be stupid. You don't have
Okay.
to live as a slave in the garden. You don't have to live as a slave to Adam. And
Right.
that's what, and according to what I read, is that that's why Eve ate of the apple. But even in the story, the post that I sent you about the young lady where she was explaining
Yeah, I
that,
didn't get a chance to see that. I just saw the post.
yeah,
I mean, I
her
just literally saw the link this minute.
her take on it was that the forbidden fruit was actually the placenta of um of her womb.
Hmm.
And
Of Lilith's womb?
you know what, I don't want to paraphrase too much,
Hmm.
but when you listen to it, what she's saying is that there was more to Lilith than, being evil and being, just disobedient. Lilith was trying to free Eve from
Hmm.
being dominated. So
Right.
she told her, because I think, and if I remember back a while back, I think Jada Pinkett was talking about, and some other people were talking about the placenta of a woman's, you remember that movie Lucy?
No, I never saw that.
Okay. The movie Lucy, in it, has this peel that came from the amniotic sac of a woman. It's the burst of childbirth from when a child is first inseminated into a woman's womb. That, whatever that is, was put into a pill. And
Hmm.
that pill gave Lucy, in the movie, when you get a chance, watch that movie. It's crazy because you'll learn a lot from it, and it'll open your eyes to a lot of stuff too, because it goes on into it. But the pill that she ingested made her smarter. She saw things. She remembered things when she was a baby. It actually enhanced everything
Hmm.
about her.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it came from the amniotic sac of when the baby is first, inseminated and becomes life. So
Right.
whatever that is what in the movie Lucy, she takes that, and her senses,
Are
everything about
heightened.
her molecular structure,
Hmm.
the way she see things, she can go up in the air. Everything about her from that pill. And what they were doing in the movie, they were trying to sell this pill, and they were smuggling it through humans. They would put it into their stomachs. They smuggled it through humans, through different parts of the country, to get it out, to try to sell it. So the people that were trying to do it were actually, when she realized what they were doing, Morgan Freeman is in this movie too. So again,
Okay.
watch that, watch that movie. Um, and she tells him about how life started from her ingesting this, and it broke in her stomach, I believe.
Hmm.
So when she realized what it was on the plane, on her way to wherever they were sending her, when it burst into her stomach, everything awakened in her to where she could hear, she could tell somebody what was getting ready to, come on on the voicemail, who was getting ready to call. Her senses were up there. So when they talk about the Kundalini spirit, the Kundalini as being Lilith, Lilith was basically the her she was waking Eve up to that knowledge,
Hmm.
is what I
Interesting.
when I read more about her, is that she was waking Eve up to that knowledge, and Eve made Adam eat it, and God got mad because he didn't want Adam and Eve to have knowledge of an awareness. And in the
Right.
Bible, when you read it, it does talk about that God didn't want them to be aware of themselves. And when they ate it, they were aware that they were first what? Naked. And then
Right.
they were, they realized their eyes were open to who they was. And, and that's actually the premise of how Lucy in the movie came to be. She woke up to herself.
Okay. It's a funny
Hmm.
thing because it always makes me think to myself that uh, women are made out to be inherently rebellious
Yeah.
by nature. And my whole point is, why would God create a woman to be rebellious by nature, but
Right.
then punish her for being what she just naturally is? If that is
Right.
indeed the case, if woman is by nature rebellious, then
Hmm.
why be punished for it?
Right. Because I mean, hey, you first of all, you created her. So whatever you put in her is what made her turn against every rule you had.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
Makes no sense.
interesting. Yeah. And so, a lot of times I think we're demonized as being the failure of the human race when
Right.
I think in the beginning, this conversation could go in so many different directions. Um, and
I
it can
remember
go,
I knew a boy who said to me, the reason that women have cramps, you should blame Eve. It's all your guy's fault. And I just thought to myself, wow, you're such a little a-hole. Because I was a teenager.
yeah,
I don't even want to talk about my period, much less with,
yeah,
cramps and all that stuff. And then
yeah. And
hear this
every time I would
nonsense
hear,
about blame.
right, every time I would hear that, that would irritate me too, because they always, boys, men, they would always use it as a way to say, stay in your place because you fucked up
There you
human race,
go. There you go. That's,
you
I
know.
guess, my issue. Like I said, one of my biggest issues with religion in general is
Hmm.
that a woman is not allowed to be a whole person,
Right.
not allowed to have her own thoughts, not allowed to express those thoughts if she has them.
Hmm.
All of that. That's problematic because
Yeah.
being a person has who understands the natural balance that men and women are not equal. Why? Because they're different.
Right.
An apple and an orange are not equal. Why?
Right.
Because even though they're both fruit, they are different.
Hmm. They're different. Yeah.
So, right. So I don't have issue with that because,
Hmm. I
logically
like
that
being
makes
different.
sense. Yeah, and logically it makes sense to me. It's
Hmm.
not saying better or worse.
Right.
It's not saying smarter or less smart or any of that,
Right.
or less than. It's just saying different.
Right. And
So
that
when
and that and that actually is the reason, and that's what Lilith was saying to Adam and
there
God,
you go.
saying
Right.
that I don't want to be inferior, superior to Adam, but I want to be able to make the choice of whether I want to lay on bottom or on top. Why
Yeah.
can't I have that choice?
Right. How does that take away from you?
Right.
Right? How does
Exactly.
that take away from what you inherently are? I
Hmm.
mean, can you imagine a man who would actually believe that you were emasculating him if you got on top?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that, you know, the dominating, you're holding him down so he can't move, and you're in control of everything concerning his, areas. Um, some
But
men
he's still
are
he's still
okay
he's
with it.
still physically stronger.
Hmm.
He's still physically stronger because it does probably take a little bit more effort
Right.
for them to do what they do.
Right. Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
way more.
So yeah. So I mean,
Hmm.
the reality of the matter is, I don't know if I can't imagine a man who would feel so limited in his
Hmm.
masculinity that they
Okay.
would feel odd about that particular position.
Right.
Like, dude, really?
Yeah.
That's it? That's all it takes for you to
Right.
feel emasculated, for you to feel like I am trying to take over, I am trying to be the man. That's what it takes. That's tragic.
And
And
it's
and please
disheartening.
raise up not just from my bed but my life because you know,
Right.
because there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There's another person coming in there, Taj.
Okay. Uh, no, they haven't come in yet, but I
Oh,
just
I
I
see.
put the StreamYard link up there because I saw Brother Muhammad there. So I
Yeah.
wanted him to join the conversation as well, but hopefully he sees it.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
see it in the on Facebook. I wasn't able to see it at all.
yeah, I'm not sure if is there a way you can post it for me? Because maybe it's something that with me,
Maybe
I
I can get it
as the
from
host,
my.
I can't do it.
Yeah, let me go. Yeah, keep talking. I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. But
Um,
yeah, what you were saying about that being, something that bothers them is really troubling. Like why does that bother you that um and I think it's our sexuality that
hmm.
bothers them, because um I mean, let's be a little bit more transparent. Um the, we have our powers, and some of
Right,
us know how to use that power.
right,
The vajayjay, we know how to use it.
right.
And I think that some men are afraid of that. And so
Hmm.
when you get on top of them, that's dominating in a way to where they're not, you know, is not cool.
They don't feel
So I
like they're in
think with
control.
right, yeah, of course not,
Hmm.
of course not. I'm in control. If I'm on top, I'm in control way more than he is. But that
Hmm.
shouldn't have allowed Lilith to be
Damn to hell.
demonized. Yeah, like wow, that's all it took,
It's that deep.
right? Like good
No pun
grief,
intended.
you know, it's crazy
Oh man,
because
my messenger is acting really bizarre. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it so that I can put it at least in the.
okay,
Here it is. Okay. I'm
yeah,
so
because on
sorry.
my end it's showing up as it being there, but I don't know why no one can see it
Oh,
because I
Facebook is
can
being ugly right now. I
I
don't
can
know what
put
that
it in
is.
my banner. It's there in my banner if you
Right, and
can.
you can't click on it on the banner.
Right.
So, and you can't copy it. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? You would have to actually type it in as
Okay.
is. So that's probably a problem.
Okay. Well,
Um,
Sean is back as well. But
Apologies, I had to leave.
oh, okay, no problem, no problem at all. We were, just talking about how crazy it was that man felt that being dominated by a woman was, you know, punishment worthy.
For the
You
man or the
know,
woman.
so I mean, what just shoot from the beginning, where Eve was, she was cursed, her womb was cursed because she went against, the her her instruction from Adam not to touch certain trees. And then Lilith was cursed, her babies was cursed, and she was cursed because she didn't want to be always dominated by Adam during sex. And it's like we have such harsh punishments.
You know what's really funny
Mm,
is how we are procreated. And I
mm-hmm,
can understand why a man feel insecure and wants to have that masculinity that we present to them
mm-hmm,
because the womb is that powerful. And I don't understand from my teachings spiritually that the womb is where God we were birthed from, not the
Right.
sperm and not the egg, because we
Mhm.
can still have stillborn births. We're
Right.
the one. Woman is the ones that can bring life or death at the same time.
Right.
And by man seeming to know this, wouldn't you
Mhm.
think they will have a problem with this? Because that's mighty powerful, and they would want to dominate it due to the fact of their mentality, if that makes sense.
Yes. Much
And
so.
so it's just strange to me now, knowing that what we know, it can't be truth. It
Right.
can't, for the woman to have this much and to be submissive. That's an honor to a man, and
Right.
us surrendering our whole being to them. They should be honored by that and submit themselves to
Right.
protect us, provide, and love us unconditionally as we've been doing.
Right.
But yeah, it's just amazing how things are so twisted, and to me, how things are so twisted, and men in their masculinity needs this confirmation of whom they are just with their sperm alone. That's it.
Right.
That's all, and nothing else. Make
Yeah.
sense?
You know what? I tend to nowadays try to think about women in the sense of, we have to understand who we are, because I believe that Lilith and Eve lives in all of us.
It truly does.
Absolutely.
And
It
I think what I'm walking away from this understanding is that men need to understand that if you're looking for an Eve, make sure that she's not a Lilith, because you might be disappointed.
well, you
They are
actually
two different
different.
spirits, they're two different
Yes,
energies, and they operate differently.
correct.
So if you're looking for Eve, understand who Eve was to Adam. And remember that Eve went against Adam too. So I don't know. Okay.
I still don't understand that a woman comes from the rib of a man. Make sense to me. You
Hmm.
believe in that too as well?
You said what?
That a woman comes from a man rib. Did you? I can't hear you.
She's gone away for a moment.
Um,
Okay,
There
there.
she is.
Oh, your voice is so. I'm Oshan, who and her voice. The other guest on here, her voice is
Andrea,
Hi. How are you?
Andrea. You have such a wonderful speaking tone voice.
Oh, thank you.
I
You
tell
should.
her that all the time. I'm like, girl, you got the sexiest voice I've ever heard on a woman.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah. It's. I call it like. I call it like I hear it. It's
Hmm.
seductive.
Yeah.
You want to know what's so funny? I had I was a school nurse at one point, and I remember this little 6-year-old saying to me, he said, Andrea, he said, Nurse Andrea, he said, you know what I've noticed about you? And I said, what is that? And he said, you sound like you're singing even when you're not singing.
Oh,
I thought that was the best compliment I've
that
ever had,
is. Oh,
in
wow.
my voice. I thought that was the
It,
best compliment.
it's your tone.
Hmm.
It's your tone. That's all. I'm gonna call you guys back when I get to my. Well, join in on the podcast once I get back again. Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Peace.
See, yeah,
But
Tosh,
yeah.
I posted it. I posted it in both here,
Okay.
in the chat as well as on Facebook. I hope it came up on in
Hmm.
the chat. It looks like
Okay.
it did. So
What you say?
I'm about
Yeah.
to, yeah,
And
a
I
couple
saw it in
blocks
the
away,
private
pulling
chat
up.
too.
You from the crib?
okay, okay.
Yeah, that's when I disappeared. I was reading that and forgot that I have to click. Oh, I'll get it together, you
Oh
guys.
shoot. Oh no, it's okay. Listen,
Yeah, no, you know what? I went in there. Them shits are
Um,
$7.50 for burrito,
Ocean,
and the motherfuckers are this damn big. I mean,
Ocean.
oh
they used to be
no,
like this.
actually, hello,
Yeah,
hi. Somebody's there, but I don't know that that's not her. I don't think.
yeah. Yeah. I think she was saying to hold on, but I muted her for now because I
I
can
see.
hear whoever's talking to
Okay,
her. You can hear it.
okay, I've got you.
Hmm.
So Brother Dawood must have, he must not have been able to get in.
Well, that's why I disappeared for a minute. I actually went and sent it to him, so hopefully he'll join in a minute.
Right.
I don't know where Mark is.
Because he might have some insight, more insight too. Because I
Right.
did notice that there was an Arabic um,
Hmm.
written story about Lilith.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my Arabic is a little rusty, so
Hmm.
I surely hadn't had an opportunity to read it. But
Yeah.
I probably will. I just haven't had the opportunity to do as much research on it as I would have liked. And when I first
Gotcha.
went on Google, I just didn't
Hmm.
get enough. Do you know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
just this little tidbit, and I thought, this is
Hmm.
awful.
Yeah.
This is not good.
YouTube, there's a lot of people breaking it down on YouTube as well, that where they're,
Nice.
using a lot of scripture, a lot of, Arabic, Hebrew, and Jewish terminologies for the word Lilith. So,
It's
that's
so funny because the first thing I thought of was, I don't know if you've ever watched that show Frasier.
hmm.
That was the only Lilith I'd ever remember really hearing. The name
Hmm.
Lilith was his
Okay.
wife. It was kind of like icy, but she was very brilliant. But she was
Yeah.
also a bit domineering. So I just thought to myself, that's kind of curious that they chose that name for her.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and she was. Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah,
clever.
wow.
And
Hmm.
she did have like real sexual power over
Hmm.
her husband, like
Right.
serious sexual power over her husband. So
Yeah.
that was interesting. It wasn't like overt. It wasn't something that you look at her and you think, seductress. But
Hmm.
she herself, because she was the first person that was the first time I'd ever heard of the underwear La Perla,
Hmm.
like that $450 panties, La
Right.
Perla, and that she was wearing La Perla in and I think in one of the episodes, and I remember
Okay.
thinking to myself, what the heck is that? And I remember looking it up at
Hmm.
like in Nordstrom's or something like that, going into Nordstrom's and looking at it, and I was like, these drawers are $450. Are you crazy?
Wow. Wow.
So she was
Okay.
obviously very, but they're very sexy, very lacy, very feminine,
Hmm.
very,
Yeah, Lilith, and when you
seductive.
think about her character, she was very strong, very,
Hmm.
kind of dominate,
Absolutely.
personality. She kind of had a sternness to her, you
She
know.
absolutely did.
Hmm. So yeah, I think that there was something to that by them naming her
Her,
Lilith.
right? Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna have to see that Lucy movie though, because I've heard of it.
Yes, you have got
I've
to see
definitely heard
that
of it, but
movie.
I've never seen it.
It is amazing. Um, and there's so much to unpack in that movie. You know, at the end, it goes towards evolution. The evolution of Lucy actually being the first monkey.
Hmm.
So it goes all the way back.
Evolutionary wise, right, right,
Evolutionary wise, yeah.
right,
And
right. Interesting.
it's very interesting, and whether you believe in that theory of evolution, that monkeys, we came from monkeys, that's up to you.
Right,
I don't
right,
believe that,
right.
but it takes her back to that moment, where she actually looks at the first monkey before she became, it's almost like a moment she has with the animal.
Mm,
And she goes back to the beginning of that animal and her.
right.
And but the fact that, and it's a name for the powder that she ingested, and it's an actual name for that.
Okay.
Hmm. It's an actual name for it. It was something C something, some letters, numbers. Um, but yeah, it was the amniotic fluid, or the amniotic sac of the child at the beginning and the burst of when the child is, inseminated into and becomes a soul, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever that is, they bottled it up, made a pill, and they were going to do something with it. So she goes on to um get rid of it. When she realizes
Right.
what it is and what they were trying to do with it, she goes on to get rid of it.
Because of the
And
power
yeah,
that she
because
feels.
she
Yeah.
was. Hmm. And I don't want to tell you everything because it's so much in there that it,
Sure.
it even delves into computers.
Hmm.
It's a really amazing movie. You got to see it with Morgan Freeman being the scientist that she seeks out, who's actually a really strong, important figure and man that she seeks out, who's very knowledgeable in creation and the child gene of creation. That whatever it is she had, he knew a lot about it. So she
Right.
seeks him out to help her get to him, but her journey to that is what's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, when you see it, you'll know you're gonna be like, okay, I see what you're talking about, because even towards a certain part of it's like, wow, okay, because what she turns into is gonna flip you out.
So she has telekinetic powers and all of that stuff at
She
this
has
point.
everything because she
Okay.
ingested the birthing peel of yeah, it's crazy. It's really
Hmm.
crazy. But that reminded me, reason why I brought that up is because it reminded me of Lilith's story, and whether or not she actually was trying to school Eve on who she was and her power.
Right.
Because if she was, then what's wrong with that? Because it almost
Hmm.
begs to say that God wanted us to remain stupid.
Which I don't believe, which is why I've always had
No.
issue with the idea of the apple
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that, supposedly, allegedly, this is why we were being punished and had to toil, and women had, periods, and,
Mm-hmm.
just the whole thing. All of those things that come with being a human being in terms of the negative is
Right.
supposedly stemming from the biting of that apple. And
Mm-hmm.
again, if I sit down and decide I'm going to make a cupcake and it
Mm-hmm.
comes out nice and moist and fluffy and sweet like a cupcake should,
Right.
why would I find that peculiar, or why would I have issue with that? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? In other words, if God created us this way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And part of our nature is curious.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Which
it
it should be.
curiosity or rebellious? Is it
Yeah.
rebellious? If it's rebellious, then we were created as such, and then why are we being punished for
For
being
being right.
just who we are?
Right. Because the miss it's almost like and I've said this. I'm not gonna lie. I've said this to God in prayer. Why couldn't you just make it easy?
Hmm.
You know.
Because there are so many life lessons that are learned in the L, Latasha,
Mm-hmm.
in the quote unquote lost.
Right.
There's so many life lessons
Mm-hmm.
so that we are able to elevate
Right.
spiritually,
Right.
mentally, psychologically. There
Mm-hmm.
it is, right? There's that
Yeah.
elevation where we understand life better. And once
Mm-hmm.
we have those lessons down packed and we have served our purpose,
Mm-hmm.
which is to love and be kind and caring toward one another in whatever capacity, and that's very individualized.
Right.
I think then our job is done and we can go on into the next realm.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you on that. You know.
Because if we had it all down packed, then what would be the purpose? How boring would this life be? Despite the fact that you know, it's been, we have challenges, and sometimes we think to ourselves it's a lot, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
even more than we want to deal with. The
Right.
reality of the matter is, how boring would this not be if
Right.
everything was so flippin' easy?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because when people say, "Would you go back if you
Mhm,
could with the knowledge that you have?" Um, like, would you go back to being a kid or whatever? No, because one, I don't believe that you could go back with that knowledge. I just think that you'd be the same way. Number one, and
mhm,
two, if we knew it all, even though we think we would elevate higher, we might
mhm.
not because we hadn't had an opportunity to garner those lessons in the way we were supposed to gain those lessons in the way that we were supposed to.
Right.
Just having
I
full on
understand.
knowledge, being
I
born
get
with
you.
full on knowledge is one thing, but learning and sometimes losing in order
Mhm.
to learn is where the most value comes from with those lessons, I believe.
Right. I agree. I agree.
So
Yeah.
I know that's off topic.
No, 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 no. It goes right along with it because either way, these are questions that you sometimes just want to know. Especially
Yeah,
when you're talking to the creators. Um, Notice I said creators.
there you
Um,
go.
you want to know. What were you thinking? You know,
Yeah.
um, was the mistake really ours that was made, or was it yours?
Hmm,
Because I'm the created.
exactly.
But
I'm the cupcake.
again,
Exactly. I am all of the ingredients that
I
you
can't
put
get
into
mad at the
me.
cupcake because it
Right.
failed, you know.
Exactly. I am all of the ingredients that you put into me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, am I sweet? Yeah, because that's because you put sugar in me. Am I
Right.
whatever? All of the various things. So it wouldn't make sense to me for there to be such wrath, to be such anger. Particularly because human beings are made with free will. So
Right.
we have the ability to
That
either
free
choose
will.
to do what we're supposedly told
Mm-hmm.
or do what we feel like doing.
Right. I always say that, the worst thing, and don't nobody hurt me for this or send no hate mail or nothing.
Don't at
But
me.
I always say that the worst thing that the gods could have done was gave man free will. That to me is the worst thing that he did. Because free will is why the world is fucked up.
Hmm.
I understand it. I
Yeah.
don't agree that he should have gave free will to everyone. I think maybe free will should have been earned, but
Hmm.
to give it to them from the beginning, for them to just, I mean, how many times did he have to destroy the world? And
Yeah.
with the flood, he had to destroy everybody. And then he went, what was it? He had to burn down Sodom and Gomorrah, and
Sodom
then,
and Gomorrah. Yeah.
yeah, and Moses, that he had to, they made gods out of, gold, and he got mad at them and punished them and banished them to the wilderness for 40 years. Like,
And
okay, well, you
supposedly
keep
that was
creating kids, you
and
keep
that
creating these
supposedly
kids that are
that was
fucking up.
supposedly he was being very oh gosh, what is the word that I'm looking for? When you're being kind. Because
Mm-hmm.
there was a time limit. Instead of just leaving them to wander forever,
Right.
he had them only wander for 40 years.
Only. That's half
Right.
of a lifespan.
Yeah. you know. So supposedly there was supposed to be compassion there
Yeah.
in that choice, in that punishment. There was still compassion.
Right.
So, but I guess as humans, we can't quite see it that way. Like you said, it's half of our lifespan. Well, not back then. There was
Mm-hmm.
a different lifespan back then. But nonetheless,
Right.
that's still a long time to
Yeah.
be going through some challenge. That's still a
Yeah.
long time.
You just wandering through the wandering. It's over the hill, but you can't get to it because your
Exactly.
punishment is to be confused about where the fuck you going.
Listen, I've
That's
been
fucked up.
confused in an area for 15 minutes and I was straight tripping. Okay, can I just tell you?
Right.
15 minutes and I was like, oh my God, this cannot be happening. I mean, I almost cried.
Right.
And it was
Exactly.
about 15, 20 minutes. And I
You
just
know.
couldn't seem to it felt like I was just going around in circles. And I couldn't
Hmm.
quite find my way.
Right.
And I was just devastated. And my husband thought to himself, this one, because I called him and I was like, babe, I can't get out of here. And he's
Oh
like, what?
wow.
Why not? Like, what's going on?
Right. Like, what's
It
really
felt
going
like,
on here?
yeah, it felt like, it felt like literally I would walk down the street and be on the same street. I was
Oh
like, how did that
wow.
happen? Like, what the hell is going
I think the only time I've had a moment like that is when I was a little too weed high, and I was supposed to have been going 4 blocks over from where I am, and I it took me 15, 20 minutes to get 4 blocks.
on? Girl, I don't know
True
what was going
story.
on. And I said to myself, perhaps it was anxiety that just had me that twisted around. I don't know what it was, but it
Hmm.
was a bizarre, bizarre thing. And I just remember thinking to myself, shoot, when you said 40 years, hello.
Yeah, that's a long time. That's a
That's a
long
long
time to be
time.
punished for making. But I understand, with why God felt that, he had to keep destroying or punishing mankind.
Right.
I understand it. I do understand it. I don't agree, but I understand it, because
Oh,
even with
sorry.
my own children, if my
Oh,
children do something, at some point in time, I have to say, look, I have to put you in a timeout. My
exactly.
grandbabies. So I get why it just seemed like it was just such harsh
It
punishment.
seems so
You know,
extreme. Right.
yeah, and it trickled down. You know, one woman or both of them leave Lilith and Eve because of their wanting to be
Disobedient.
independent and wanting to be more knowledgeable and wanting to
Hmm.
know and be self-aware. Their punishment was through their womb. Wow.
Hmm. Because
Wow.
were you saying that all of Lilith's children were damned from that point?
Lilith's
Is that what you're
Lilith's
saying?
children, yes, because she was turned into a demon.
Okay, so she and Adam did not procreate. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure. I don't see anything that says that they did,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it does say, I think in one of the posts that I did read, that Adam, after being with Eve and bearing children with Eve, he did go back to Lilith and stayed
Right.
away from Eve for a couple of years and
But
was
that
with
would make
Lilith.
sense if you think about the fact that
Hmm.
there was more than just Cain and Abel,
Yeah,
and their
and Seth.
offspring. And I
Hmm.
always wondered, well, where the heck did those other people come from? Like, where'd you
Yeah,
get cousins from? Where'd you get,
yeah,
like where did those people come from?
yeah. The earth.
Now
I don't think that
that's
God
starting to make more
stopped at.
sense.
Yeah, I don't think that God stopped at creating those three people. I think that once they started creating, children. Yeah,
Right.
I believe that Lilith once, who they said that she connected with Simeon, the angel. I mean the angel Simeon or the demon Simeon. I don't know what he was, but connected with him and had children by him, but they were demons.
And he
And
must
God
have been
cursed her
human.
babies to wander the earth, and every one of her children was supposed to die every day for her punishment for the rest of her existence.
What a horrific, horrific story.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
So,
don't
but
know.
and you know what, Andrea, I believe that a lot of these stories are there's
Allegorical, I'm
some truth.
hoping.
Yeah, it's some truth to it, but it's more about us. Our inner workings. You know how
Right.
in the on the movie Matrix. Remember
Yes.
when we first watched that movie? We
Yes.
didn't, some of us understood that, Neo was a symbol for a metaphor for something.
Right. Right. Right.
And Morpheus was a metaphor for, and we pieced it together that this is what all of this was about. And I think
Right.
in the Bible, each one of them play a part, not necessarily in the natural or that it was a physical person that actually did it, but
Exactly.
these are, Lilith might describe the physical sexual nature of a woman who
There you
knows her
go.
body,
There you go.
you know,
There
and
you go.
Eve
I'm
might be that
with that.
right, and Eve is
Yeah.
that submissive part of us that don't mind being dominated, you
Right.
know. That's why I said Eve and Lilith is in all of us, but I believe that men need to understand that Lilith exists too. You can't shut
And
her
some people have
down.
more Lilith than Eve, and some people have more Eve than Lilith.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
it's for a variety of reasons.
Hmm.
Sometimes we're socialized in that way
Right.
to allow one part of our personalities to come out over the other stronger.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I think, some of it is innate. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Some of it is just innately who we are.
Right. I agree. You know, but I wanted to tackle this subject because, you know, it was just interesting. A friend of mine actually got me thinking about Lilith because I've
Hmm.
heard her about her story years ago. And this was a guy that got me thinking about her because he brought her up as, um, you know, her energy, being Adam's first physical, spiritual wife.
Right.
Um, People don't really understand, you know, who she is and how that applies to women today. And I believe that if we really break Lilith down, we'll understand a lot more about the types of women that exist today.
Well, supposedly,
Hmm.
obviously, the Eve is the more desired by men
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
she's more of a feminine energy and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
A feminine energy, a supportive energy, those kinds of things, as opposed to being
Easy to
the more
control.
dominating, right?
Hmm.
Right. So I'm sure that if there were any men who had joined, I'm sure that a lot of them would have, said that they would prefer, if they had to make a choice, they would prefer having an Eve. But is that
Hmm.
across the board, or is that just within your relationship? You want her to be an Eve with you, but you don't mind when she goes out into the world and she's a Lilith.
Yeah. So, and that, you know, I think,
She's kicking corporate butt. She's
hmm
out there making it happen. She's
hmm
making sure that nobody is stepping to her. She's not like she's shooting the men down because, men are going
hmm
to come at her
yeah.
because, she has this, sexual presence,
Hmm.
which is obvious. And she's not having it. She's checking them and putting them in their place. So you want to have some of the Lilith too.
Yeah. A healthy balance is what I call it.
Any man who says that he doesn't want any parts of Lilith is
Hmm.
not even thinking about, who she is
Right.
and what she would bring to the situation,
Right.
the relationship.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up about Kevin Samuels the other night, which you guys did. Did you guys have a chance to read that When Doves Cry, that interview he did with that young lady?
No, I've never actually seen any of his stuff, to be honest, not in totality. Like I've seen like bits and pieces that people that I know have posted in different groups.
Okay.
Um, and probably that's not very fair of me to have judgments based on the
Hmm.
little choppy bits and parts
Yeah.
because, and I usually detest the person who does that, to be honest with
Hmm.
you. Like, hello,
Okay.
did you see it? If you saw it, then you wouldn't
Right.
have to take somebody else's opinion as
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
you know what? I'll say this about Kevin.
hmm
And along with what you're saying now, I had to really sit down and listen to a couple of his interviews.
yeah,
Um, and I haven't read them. I haven't listened to all of them,
sure.
but Kevin comes from he kind of sounds like Mark at times, with Mark's beliefs sometimes. And then there's other times where you can tell that, you know, he ain't for the bullshit. He want a Eve. He don't want a Lilith. He don't want to even look at a Lilith. He wants an Eve.
hmm
And I think that listening to him, even with this conversation, that he has with this young lady, I believe that he comes even to an understanding about who she is, and that this woman knew who she was. She understood who she was. She understood her power. She knew what in the world she wanted to be, the rebel. She wanted to come across strong. She
Right.
wanted to do this. This wasn't something that she was saying, well, I don't know why I do these things and I don't know. She was very self-aware of who she was as a woman. And Kevin was, as he was throwing questions at her, I'm looking at his face, and she really just kind of, she very cordial to him. She was very open. Her energy, their energy actually matched each other,
Hmm.
to where, you know, I'm like, shoot, it's look like what I'm looking at on the screen. It looks like two people that are almost the same people,
Hmm.
and I think he realized that at the end of the conversation, because he went on to say, I'm not this person people peg me out to be. I match energy with energy. So if you say something and I give you that energy back, I'm only matching your energy. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I can understand that, because some of the women that come to him, they're coming to attack him because they didn't like what he said about someone else who
Yeah.
asked for that
Yeah.
information.
Right.
But I learned to respect Kevin Samuels based on the fact that, he has old ideas
Hmm.
of marriage, relationship. He doesn't believe in dating. He says that there's no need for dating. He said back in, and then he goes into this thing about back in those times where the man who owned a house and had a job and had money and land and property, he would go to his neighbors or, somebody in his church and asked for the man's daughter, and that was it. It was no dating, going out, spending paying for flowers and date nights, and there was none of that. So he has old ideas of what, you know relationships should be, which to
Hmm.
me is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because we're not living in those times.
Not at
um
all. Because
and
now,
women
so
don't
basically,
want to
you're
be
saying, go ahead. I'm so sorry. Uh huh.
no, no, I was just going to say women don't want to be picked, from, they don't, I want to have a choice. I don't want my father to tell me who I'm supposed to marry, because my father may see provider, my father may see this, he might see protector, he might see all of these other things, but I might see something else that I don't like.
Right.
And
What if you don't like him?
I got to live with this man based on what my father believes is good for me.
Right.
And I am my mother too. I'm him and I'm my mother. So, um, not necessarily what's good for my mother is necessarily good for me,
That's true.
so, and I think that his views on that is a little outdated, and I think that once he comes away from that thinking that women are still, and mind you, he even goes on to say, if I'm supposed to give my life to protect you, then why can't you submit to me? Got you. I understand that, Kevin. I get that. I really get that. But
Hmm.
again, understand what woman you're dealing with, because some women may say, that's fine. I'm cool with it. I know my part. I know the part I play, and I'm okay with that exchange between you and I. And then there's some women that are not feeling that because they know what comes with that. I got to obey you. I got to check with you on everything. Everything goes to you before I do any. Some women are not cool with that,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, I
But
could
that
see
that
that being
conversation was very
problematic.
interesting.
But yeah, I think you're probably right. I think he probably is one of those uh, men who, no Lilith for him. Like if he
No,
were, Lilith
he
would
don't
be
seem like he
absolutely
wants a Lilith at all. He may want her to work, but I believe that he just wants her to work just to look pretty for him. Honestly,
Hmm.
that
Because I
I think
remember
he's
the
that old fashioned guy. He
I
wants an
remember
arm
the
candy and a
yeah. See, that's what I'm saying about old fashioned. Old fashioned is in. Listen, any type of energy, be it
hmm
an old fashioned man, you're thinking to yourself, wow, he's such a gentleman. He's so old fashioned. He's so this. He's so that. But then he can also have some very narrow minded thinking that comes with
yeah
that. There's two sides to that coin.
hmm
You know, he might be chivalrous. He might be one who will court you in the way that you really should be courted.
right
But he also might be very old fashioned and very kind of narrow minded in his thinking,
yeah,
like you
especially
said.
if he thinks that men, that he thinks that men should just go to the father of the one he wants and ask for her hand and not ask her for her hand. I
Right.
think him not believing in dating is a red flag for me,
That is so
because
interesting. So
I'm
he
not
really
getting into
believes that,
anything. Yeah, I'm not getting into anything
pardon
with a
me,
man that I don't know.
no,
And dating
no,
to me is getting to know you, getting to know everything about you, and seeing what it is that we can contribute to each other. If he doesn't believe that, then he's got a rude awakening coming, because I don't know how many women that really is going to agree with that. Again.
because his thinking is if he's a provider
hmm
and a protector, then what does she have to be complaintive about? Well, maybe she
hmm
just don't like him.
Right,
You know,
right.
maybe he doesn't speak to her kindly. Maybe
hmm
he's not a fair person.
hmm
He doesn't even know how to communicate fairly when they have disagreements. Maybe
Right.
maybe he's just a jackass. So he can work and he will shoot the bear if need be. But
hmm
that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a good catch.
That's true.
Can you imagine if that was all there was to it? Was that I
hmm
need to be able to clean and cook? But basically, I could be nasty. I could be a funky, nasty person,
hmm
like attitude wise and maybe even hygiene wise. And you're
Right.
supposed to just be like, but she cooks and cleans.
Mhm. Right.
And that's enough.
Do you remember have you ever watched the movie Coming to America 2, the second one?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember there's a part in the movie where um was Lavelle
Hmm.
goes on the dance floor, and he's going to be married to, um what was her name? Mapoto or something like that.
Oh, yeah, his daughter. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then they're dancing, and
Yeah,
he says to her, I want to, she goes with the little line from the first one where
exactly.
whatever you like,
Exactly.
whatever you
Exactly.
want to do. And then I noticed that she said, I'm just a wife.
Right.
That shit hit hard with me. That hit hard with me, because the one he was in love with had a career, had a, she wanted to start her own business, she wanted to make money, she wanted to contribute to the earth. But
Yeah.
the one that he was married to was just trained to serve him.
And she encouraged his
And she said, and she
goals.
used the word, I'm just a wife. That's
Yeah.
crazy to me. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Like, why would you use
Yeah.
that word, you know, if that's not really what wife means, or that men think it means. Just
Well,
serve
maybe
you.
those men did think that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
hmm
Although, oddly enough, Madge Sinclair was a very strong woman.
Yeah.
The mother of Eddie Murphy, she wasn't a weak-minded woman,
Mm-mm.
but yet and realistically, Eddie Murphy's purpose of going to America was to find a woman who wasn't going to just be completely subservient, but
Right.
that she had her own thoughts and things of that nature.
hmm
So he wanted a little bit more Lilith
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
actuality. He
Yeah, and
really
that's the way
wanted,
it looked.
you know.
He,
Yeah,
'cause that other girl was a very much, a strong person that was sure that, she wanted more out of life than to
yeah,
just serve a man,
right.
and nothing wrong with serving a man. Don't get me wrong, people, but that's
Because you
not
know
what
somebody coming
that's
for
not
you,
the
girl.
only, right. That's not the only purpose we're here for. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. So,
And you should have more to contribute to your relationship.
mhm,
You know, if you don't have your own thoughts and your own ideas
right,
about things and your knowledge base, where you want to increase your knowledge base, right?
right,
What kind
mhm,
of conversations do you have?
right.
So basically, all you do is make babies, chop the wood, eat your food, make babies. That's it. That's it.
That's how they
That
did it,
sounds joyous.
that's yeah, that was how that's how it started with us, especially in America. That's what they told us we had to do. A woman had to submit to her husband. And even with every culture, that was
Yeah,
the ideal of relationships. And I believe that the reason why the world is in the shape that it's in, Andrea, is because we are now realizing that that does not work. It just does not work that way. It's more to this than just me submitting and being a slave to my husband. What about me?
yeah. Let's
What
not
about
squelch
my
people's invariable nature. You
mhm,
like you said, we as women, we are not only Eve personalities. You
mhm,
know, we're going to have Lilith and Eve.
yeah,
In order to have that balance,
and
which
you should.
is normal, right? Which to me is
Mhm,
very natural.
yeah,
Um, and because of that, squelching one or the other,
mhm,
either one, to be honest with you. Like,
mhm,
I mean, I remember when um, I became kind of focused on feminism, right?
okay, mhm,
And but I had some issues with it because I often thought to myself, you're supposed to be opening up the perspectives for women. In other
yeah,
words, not making her feel like she can only have babies and stay at
mhm,
home and raise family. There are
right,
other options, right?
uh-huh,
But you're basically telling her that the first option, which is having babies and staying home and so on and so forth, is wrong. That's problematic for me. Oh, she's gone. Uh-oh.
and I'm back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's problematic. It
Mhm,
should be allowing people to make their general choice,
yeah,
whatever choice is best for them.
and it's important to our young daughters and nieces, and even our nephews, cousins, uncles, aunts, to understand that message. Is we're all here to evolve to something greater, to our equal parts towards each other. I really strongly believe that at the end of this lesson, life lesson, is equality. Equality, not in strength and girth and feminine energy versus masculine energy, not that. I'm talking about just me being able to say, I can do this. I can do whatever I want to do. I can choose a path for me
I
that's
can choose
going
a path
to,
for me. Yes.
yeah, I can choose a path for me and not have it being chosen by someone I'm dating, someone I'm married to, someone I'm in love with. I want him to support my dreams as well as I would support his dreams. And of course I would support his dreams, but support
Right.
mine as well. And I think that if you're making each other happy in that capacity, how could either one of you go wrong?
Right.
You know? But I will say this, for the men that, feel that, no, I just want an Eve, then okay, stay with an Eve then. Stop
Right.
cheating on Eve with Lilith. How
Huh.
about that? How about that?
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. And shoot, a lot of side chicks are Eves because a lot of men got Lilith and don't mind Lilith, but they'll cheat on Lilith with Eve. Because the side chick is very docile. She's very submissive. She's the one that's, okay, yeah, come on over. I know she hurt you. She won't give you no sex. Okay, come on over. Yeah, she's very submissive.
She's manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
She's using her femininity in a manipulative way.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that she is truly feminine or
Yeah,
truly submissive.
I agree. She knows that side chick is,
She's a seductress.
ideal is
She's a
something else.
succubus. She's a seductress. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. You know, but I wanted to have this conversation, Andrea, because I think that men sometimes can be confusing. And when you don't understand what's in front of you and the type of woman that's in front of you, you're going to be squeezing, wanting apple juice and still getting orange juice. Do you know what type of woman you got? If you don't know the type of woman you got and the woman that you're dealing with, then, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, dude, quit squeezing the apple trying to get orange juice. Exactly.
Right.
That's really bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think that the acceptance that that there is that balance, I think is
Mhm.
probably what is going to help to benefit relationships across the board between men
Right.
and women.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're all a movement by ourselves, but we are force, a
Hmm.
freaking force when we are
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, taking the lyrics from that song, but that's real,
Beautiful song, right?
So it is.
Hmm.
So, so why would you not want somebody who has some Lilith in her?
Right.
Even if you feel like you don't need to have your spouse go out into the workforce. So what?
Right.
She can be at home creating, being an entrepreneur and creating a business. Oh, your hair looks so super
Hmm.
cute.
Hey, Neat.
She
Hey.
doesn't know she's up there. You look cute, cute. I like your hair.
I know,
Oh,
right?
thanks. Thanks.
Was this wash night?
Yeah. I had to
Love
co-wash. I
it.
didn't wash it. I didn't actually shampoo it or anything like that. Just co-washed it
Love
and
it.
tamed it a little bit.
Gotcha.
That's how she gets the little natural curls
The
when
natural
she
curl,
when
exactly.
she bushes it out.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine will do it sometimes, and sometimes it'll do whatever to do. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
My
been
twist
listening,
outs aren't always
Tanika?
that wonderful.
Huh?
Have you been listening to the subject about Lilith and
I
Eve?
literally just remembered to come in here. Look, I had got into bed and
Oh
everything.
my God. Yeah, because I was
What
just gonna end it.
happened?
I was finna end it because
I
we've been on
figured
here
so.
for
I
about an
was like, oh
hour and
my
a
God,
half
it's
now.
9:46. I'm just realizing that you had sent the notification to me. Like I had got into bed and everything. And I'm like, man, let me at least get in, say hello, show my face.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
so sorry.
No, it's
Oh, I
okay.
forgot all about it. But definitely I'm pretty sure that the conversation will continue.
Yeah, we will. And actually, I record all of these, so you can always go back and just watch it because
Absolutely.
we talked about a few things and going away from it. And I think Andrea has her thoughts as well. Um, every woman has a little bit of Lilith in them and a little bit of Eve in them, and
Absolutely.
there's nothing wrong with that because that makes for a badass bitch.
There it is. There it is.
That's a
Oh yeah.
badass bitch.
Right, right, right,
Hmm.
right. Dangerous,
Yeah,
even. Yeah,
Mama Bear, and
absolutely.
she's
Absolutely.
She's a sexy, she's a sexy, woman to her man. She's also, dominant. She can be dominant when she needs to be. She can also be humble when she needs to be. And she knows
Absolutely.
when to use all of those
When
things
to
and
use
not to
it.
her disadvantage.
There
Hmm.
it is.
She
Mhm.
understands her
Nor to
power.
the disadvantage of the family.
Right. And it's not a selfish thing. To a balanced woman, it's not a selfish thing. It's a
Mm-mm.
thing for, this to benefit my whole unit, my whole family, my sons, my daughters, my parents, his parents. You
Yep.
know, me being both women will make everybody's life better, because you can't be too much of one thing and not enough of the other, because you're going to go lacking in some area.
Mm-hmm.
So, that
Absolutely.
balance, yeah, that balance had to me has to be there. Andrea, final
Yes, I
words.
agree. I agree. I absolutely will do more delving in.
Okay.
Because I do think that, at some other point, we probably should have more of this discussion about this
Yeah.
particular topic. And it
Yeah.
would be wonderful if we could get some brothers to come in and
I
chime in and
know. I
give
know.
their viewpoint on what they believe the quintessential Eve and the quintessential Lilith to be,
Right.
and why they would make a choice if they would, um,
Hmm.
for one or the other. Yeah, I think that these discussions are, they are not simple discussions,
No.
which is what I'm digging.
It's so much.
They're
It's so
they're
much.
they're like onions. They're layered.
Yeah, and it can go in so many directions. I've already,
Absolutely.
and I want to tackle this subject that you gave me as well, Andre. That's going to be this week as well. But
Hmm.
Tanika, have you seen the movie Lucy? You remember that movie? You never seen it either?
Lucy. No,
What was her name? Scarlett Johansson.
no.
Yeah,
That's her name.
Scarlett Johansson. She was in the movie with Morgan Freeman.
I remember when it came out. I've never seen it. No.
Go watch that movie, because the Lilith energy that is described in the textbooks and the Hebrew Jewish, deals with, they also call her the Kundalini, um her energy, the
Oh, okay.
Kundalini.
I do Kundalini meditation actually.
Yeah, it's through yoga, and yeah, the Shiva, all of that. um
Yeah.
the life force that the movie Lucy talks about is the life force of Lilith explaining to Eve in the garden her power in her yoni, her Kundalini, her essence, her energy, her
Right.
sexual energy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Her root.
her
Yeah.
ability. Yeah, her ability. But check that movie out when you get a chance, because in the movie, the pill that Lucy takes, the Scarlett Johansson's character takes, is a pill that enhances everything about her, and it came from the amniotic sac of a childbirth. The moment that a
The
child
placenta.
is accepted, yeah, exactly. That inception of spark is in a pill form in this movie, and it
Okay.
does so much to this woman in her journey trying to get it overseas and in different places, but she doesn't know what she's carrying. When she realizes it, is because she ingested by accident. And when she finds out what it is, her journey, you got to see that movie, because it's going to
I will
open up
definitely
your,
watch it. I'm gonna watch it on
yeah.
Thursday because I'll be home from work.
Hmm.
I'll work from home on Thursday, so I'll
Okay.
watch it then. Tomorrow I got to go into the office, and after work I definitely got to get a run in. So I know I'm not gonna watch it tomorrow, but I'll
Okay.
check it out on Thursday while I'm at home, and
Hmm.
yeah, I'll get back with you on it.
Okay. Yeah, and we can make it a discussion one day, because that movie was deep. It was real deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
how it ends, y'all gonna trip on how it ends.
Hmm.
I like Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
So yeah, I probably will like the movie. But I remember distinctly when it came out.
Mhm.
It never appealed to me to want to watch it. So,
Mhm.
It's like a
but
sci-fi
I
kind
will
of thing,
take your
right?
advice and I'll check
Mhm.
it out.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, Andrea, it is sci-fi.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of. Yeah. You could classify it as sci-fi,
Okay,
but I guarantee you, you'll understand it, and it's gonna make
absolutely.
so much sense to you. You're
Let me ask you
because
a question, Latasha. The
uh-huh,
name Lucy,
uh-huh.
does it in of itself not have some correlation with Eve, with the name Eve, or the first original woman or something? I
Mm-hmm.
kind of remember something along those lines.
Yeah,
And I
because
always said to
they
myself, that's something I should check out, and I never did.
yeah, yeah. And Lucy is actually the monkey, the first monkey.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
in science, if you look up Lucy the monkey, they
Okay.
say that she was the one that we originated from.
Okay. I knew it had
So,
something to do with the origin of man or something like that,
mhm,
but
yeah,
I couldn't remember exactly. Okay.
it's a monkey named Lucy, or
Okay,
gorilla or
wonderful.
ape or whatever it is. But it in the movie, the reason why the movie is called Lucy is
Get
because
down.
it goes and touches on her creation, not because
Gotcha.
the whole movie is about her. It's just, her ascension to that parallel universe when she goes back in time, to creation, the beginning of creation, leads her to Lucy. So that's
Gotcha.
why they call it Lucy, but it's so much in the movie that has nothing to do with Lucy. It has more to do with that pill she took that opened her mind and opened her senses, and she knew how to do everything. It was nothing she could do that she couldn't do, and it was from ingesting that pill from the amniotic sac, the placenta of a baby.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
All right.
I definitely will definitely check that out, and
Okay, you guys.
we'll schedule another time to have further discussion.
Okay.
All
Absolutely.
Yes.
right.
No.
All
All
right,
right,
you
ladies.
guys.
Have a good
Thanks,
night. You
Tamika.
take good
And
care and stay
All
safe.
right. Thanks,
Please.
Andrea.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
All
Tasha,
right.
like, if you send me a notification and I don't respond like within 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
then text me if you
Okay.
can.
All right.
Yeah.
I
I'll
will
do
Then
that
do.
I'll,
next
because
time.
I'm not always online to see that
Mm-hmm.
notification come through.
Okay.
So
And what I'm gonna start doing too is right like 10 minutes before I go on, I'm gonna start sending y'all the link to um the page. Okay. Okay. All right.
oh, you
Well,
still
you
there?
guys.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, there you are. I'm sitting there talking like, okay. uh yeah, pause for a
I
minute. I was
thought it
like,
was over.
no, but I'm gonna start sending a notification like 10 minutes before I go on. And that way
Okay.
it'll have the link to the StreamYard that you can come in off of and click it, and I can add you to the feed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
But if
And then
you
what I'll
send
do,
that out and I don't
mhm,
respond within 5 minutes,
right,
text me
text
or
it.
something because I'm not always online or
I
in
got you.
that to see
I
it.
got you. I
Yeah,
got
I'll
you.
pop in every so often, and I'm not. I don't want to miss it. You know what I'm saying? I want to come
Mhm.
in the beginning of things.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Okay, Nick.
just alrighty.
All
Love you. Have
right.
a
Well,
good night.
love you too. Have a good night.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Well, that was an awesome discussion. Hopefully we made you think, we made you want to go and study who Lilith and Eve were to each other, as well as whether or not she really existed, and if so, how important she is to the story of creation. Um, you guys, the Bible says to study to show thyself approved. So keep studying, keep learning, keep understanding who you are and understanding who your fellow man is and fellow woman. God bless you. Have a good night and tune in. We'll be on again on Friday. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. I'm ending the broadcast.